Hey, what's up, your Munjak79 here. We are back again today with another Marvel Cinematic Universe movie review. Today we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Guardians of the Galaxy has always been kind of meh, subpar movie franchise for me. I was never excited about the characters pre the MCU. I didn't really know anything about them at all. I mean, I grew up with the Spider-Man and X-Men cartoons, with the original, Avengers kind of taking hold of that with the movies and whatnot. So Guardians of the Galaxy definitely went into this franchise with a grain of salt. I very much enjoyed the first one. The second one, kind of subpar for me. Of course, the death of Yondu left an emotional impact. So I was definitely going into the third one with a grain of salt, not expecting a whole much. But however, after watching the 2.5 hour epidemic, I can calmly say that out of the phase 4 MCU movies, this definitely brought us back to form, and this is easily one of the best MCU movies that I have ever seen. It's at least in the top 10, maybe top 12, for sure. I definitely left with my eyeballs filled with tears. It's such an emotional conclusion with all these characters. I feel like it really could not have gotten any better. James Gunn will definitely be missed with this franchise of characters and these movies. Him departing to take on the DC extended universe, the MCU is definitely going to miss him. I was shocked on how good this movie was. And of course, no surprise, a lot of the movie's story focuses on the relationship of Peter Quill and Gamora. As we all know, the original Gamora passed away in Avengers Endgame due to Thanos and the Infinity Stones. So this new Gamora from the future comes in. It takes the place of her, but it's virtually a completely different character, kind of how the original character was before we met her in the original Guardians of the Galaxy. The movie kind of plays around with they're going to fall in love again, but by the conclusion of the movie, that's just not the case. They actually come to a respectable close with their relationship. They kind of end up hating each other at the beginning, but by the end, Gamora definitely respects Peter for who he is, and you can kind of see a fling and a flare begin to spark up. But I do love that they didn't just throw them back into each other's arms. A relationship like that takes time to build. It takes time to flourish, and as a romantic myself, I can definitely appreciate that she didn't just hop back into his arms like the knight in shining armor, even though he did kind of save the day. It would have been cheesy, it would have been cliche. And I like that she ended up going back to the Ravagers after she left the Ravagers to help them with their mission or whatever. I like that she still had a life outside of the Guardians that she decided to go back to instead of trying to continue the life with Quill, even though that was never her, specifically that Gamora to begin with. Now, I am surprised that I've made it this far into the video without mentioning the literal MVP of this movie, one of Raccoon. Rocket was already one of my favorite characters from this franchise of movies, but him finally getting his own origin story in Volume 3 definitely solidifies himself as a legend status amongst the greats of the MCU. I'm talking about your Iron Mans, your Captain Americas, your Black Panthers. I feel like he's not exactly on an even playing field as them, but if we were talking about notches, he's like a notch right below them now, definitely even with a Star-Lord type character. Oh my god, he was so good. Just getting that heartwarming story with him and his three other friends, Lila and Floor. Oh my god, dude, like seeing them get taken out by the main villain of the story. Oh yeah, spoilers, sorry. Seeing them get taken out, it made me cry. Like, if you have any kind of love of animals, which funny thing is, I like dogs, but I'm not a huge animal person like this, but seeing these characters get taken out in the fashion that they did, like, oh god, dude, it was so sad, so freaking sad. But on top of that, just finally getting, the softer side of Rocket, even though, he definitely expressed emotion with Groot, self-destructed in the first one, just seeing, what makes him tick, giving him that character development that was so long overdue, and I'm glad that we finally got it in the conclusion of this film. It was so freaking good, man. I love it when movies give long-standing characters that kind of have that harsh exterior a realization and an understanding of just what made them like that, or what gives them purpose. And this movie definitely does a fantastic job of that. Not to mention, we definitely see Rocket have some of the greatest action scenes ever produced in the MCU, along with his buddy Groot here. Holy shit. Between the scene of the buff group taking out all of Star-Lord's guns against the High Mind Strait, taking out all the dudes, and then in the little tunnel system where they took out the whole Guardians team, took out that whole system of dudes, easily up there with in-game level action, Infinity War level action of just a team of superheroes taking on a bunch of grunts and just taking them out completely. You couldn't get any better than what we got in this. This is easily the greatest action scene the Guardians has ever given us. Those two scenes specifically, like I said, it's up there with that Captain America elevator scene. It was that level of good. I don't care what anybody says. Brilliant. Absolutely. Whoever the stunt coordinator, whoever the fight choreographer was for Guardians 3, my hat is off to you. This was definitely Oscar-worthy territory for sure. Definitely the main takeaway from Guardians 3 was the character development and story arc conclusion of Rocket Raccoon. From him getting taken out by Adam Warlock at the beginning of the film, and then him being on the brink of death, and then realizing how much the Guardians actually care about him, traveling from system to system to gather the knowledge to perform the corrective surgery to drain the fluid from the blow to his lungs. It was so freaking good, man. I'm so grateful to having and being able to enjoy this experience. Another great character development for me was Nebula. I feel like in the first two Guardians and even into the Avengers films, she really kind of had that robotic personality, thanks to Thanos's ingenuity to slash torture to kind of fix her where Gamora kept beating her. But I feel like in Guardians 3, she was definitely has finally kind of reclaimed a human side to her. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the story as well. Another character that I really enjoyed was, of course, Groot. He became Super Groot. He got wings. He got some like three extra arms. He can mold with other atmospheres of planets. I didn't know he could do that. The scene with him and Star-Lord pointing all the guns at the dudes, so freaking good. I think I've mentioned that before, but it was so good that I had to mention it a second time. Also really enjoyed his Super Groot form when they went to the anti-Earth or whatever with animal people. Use that form to scare all the people off. I thought that was really cool. Kind of looked like the comic book version of Groot too, so it was a really sweet cameo. Drax was Drax, funny as always. I really liked his character development in this film too. Kind of showed that he was meant to be a protector and a dad and not specifically a destroyer. So it was definitely a sweet arc for him as well. I kind of expected him to be the one to get killed off because he was kind of like that, funny comedic element to the movies. But nope, they gave him a satisfying arc end as well. So really cool, man. Cosmo the dog, she has psychic powers. You gotta love her. A really cool personality. She does not like being called a bad dog. And she has basically powers like Jean Grey, so can never go wrong there. Very funny, just very comedic, and definitely had elements in the movie, especially during the action sequences that paralleled greatly to my guy here, Kraglin, which shout out to him too. He had a little dope scene during the epic battle where he was struggling to use the whistling mechanic weapon that shoots around and takes people out in an instant. Yeah, he saw Yondu in kind of like a little Rocky Mickey type scene, like, come on kid, you can do it. And he like got it together and then started using the whistling thing just like Yondu would do it. Oh man, it was so cool. Really it was. Speaking of Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, he was back in here too with a cameo appearance as the leader of the Ravengers. So that was really cool to see. Basically who Gamora works for, probably seen as kind of her new father figure. So that was really cool to see. Happy that he made his return for the movie. I'm very curious to see if he makes any of the future appearances in the MCU. I'd be happy to see it. Now, y'all know how I feel. A superhero movie is only as good as its villain, how evil he is. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3 absolutely does not disappoint. Not necessarily Adam Warlock. From jump, you kind of realize that he's more of an anti-hero, kind of just put in a bad spot that he's got to do this so that, he can not die. No, you kind of get that gist from the start of the movie for sure. The High Mind Straight is absolutely the core villain of this picture, and he does not disappoint at all whatsoever. Kind of sucks that he's definitely a one and done. He did not make it through the end of this movie. I wouldn't mind him teaming up with Kang and taking on the Avengers, being that level style of enemy. But what he presented, the origin story of Rocket and taking on the Guardians, definitely just dastardly. He does a very good job of making you hate him, of making him meet a gruesome end. Definitely when he met his end, my entire theater cheered. It was definitely a cool thing to see, man, but he definitely did not disappoint at all whatsoever. He's up with the MCU's best for villains, absolutely, for sure. Now, if I had to nitpick anything, it's definitely Adam Warlock. I feel like he's definitely going to be the one part of the movie that a lot of the comic book enthusiasts did not like. Definitely that weird, kind of goofy, cringy origin story for his character. Definitely not very faithful in his personality to the comic book to move to film. It kind of reminded me of Vision. Doesn't really know a whole lot of human emotions. It's definitely going to continue on, I believe, and fulfill that lost Vision role for the Avengers. Got super strength, flight. So definitely his action scenes were definitely cool to see in the movie. Always cool seeing the flying characters really take advantage of the newer technology that you see in today's action movie. So very excited for his future. He is officially a member of the Guardians by the end of the film, just like he is in the comic book. So that's cool. If I had to take an educated guess, I think he's going to fulfill that Drax role, since obviously we know Batista has confirmed that he is done with the franchise and they gave Drax a satisfying end in Guardians 3. So I think Adam Warlock is going to fulfill that comedic role / being like the strong man of the group again. So I like it. I like the direction. Star-Lord Peter Quill almost dies again for the third time in a row. It kind of was definitely a huge emotional impact, more so than I thought it would be, especially since they kind of teased it in the first one and the second one. When he grabbed the power Infinity Stone in the first one, the other Guardians helped him contain its power. In the second one, he was in deep space. We thought he was going to die, but then Yondu saves him by sacrificing himself. And then, once again, Peter gets stuck in deep space trying to get back to the ship after it blows up, after they beat the man straight. But Adam Warlock confirms his role as a new Guardian by saving Peter Quill before Peter suffers a grisly fate of suffocating in deep space. So cool, nonetheless, kind of repeatable actions going on there, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. I'd still put this in at least the top 12 to 15 MCU movies. I absolutely enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to. So that's definitely got it going for it. I don't know if I'm quite ready to put it in the top pantheon yet. I mean, the Avengers, Endgame, Infinity War, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Spider-Man, No Way Home, Iron Man, Thor Ragnarok, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War. Those are still kind of the pinnacle for me. But obviously I would be lying if I didn't say that this was still probably the greatest conclusion for these characters that I could have imagined. Like I said, I was so happy to see this film. I was filled with smiles the entire journey, and I'm excited for the future of the Guardians of the Galaxy team. I'm definitely going to miss the core members, Gamora, Star-Lord, even though they're saying that he may return. We don't know yet, but Nebula, Drax, they're officially retired from the MCU. We don't know about Mantis. I don't recall them saying that she was retired, but I would assume she is. But our new members of the Guardians team are very excited to see where they take it in the future. I'm kind of assuming a Disney Plus show, But, we'll see, man. We'll see. All right, I've been talking for 15 minutes. That's going to do it for me here, man. If you stayed all the way through the journey of this review, thank you. I love doing these movie reviews. They're definitely one of the core passions of my channel. Can't thank y'all enough for just investing your time into listening to what I had to say about this movie. It is truly appreciated. As always, you can follow me at youtube.com/SmartJack79. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Post your comments in the comment section below. Let's have a good, healthy conversation about the movie. I love to hear it, man. Until then, I will see you guys on the next one. I'll catch you guys later. Bye. Avengers Assemble.